Voters in Minnesota might have to show a photo ID when they head to the polls.
A Winona State Minority Alliance formed by students is asking WSU administration to dedicate a space on main campus to diversity. Hello and welcome to News 24. I'm Stephen Rydberg.
And I'm Olga Lizhipakova. Minnesota voters are one step closer to seeing a voter ID bill show up on the 2012 ballot. On Friday, the full Senate passed the constitutional amendment 36-30. The House had passed the bill earlier in the week. The amendment would require voters to present a photo ID when voting. The bill would also allow provisional voting, where the voters can cast a ballot without showing an ID, but would have to return to confirm their identity. Otherwise, their vote would not count. Democrats opposed to the bill say it could lead to many uncounted votes. Senator Jeremy Miller is one of the only Republicans that oppose the bill because he'd like to see the issue worked through legislature.
The issue that I have with a constitutional amendment is, number one, what's the cost and who's going to pay for it? And then number two, what are the consequences? What are the consequences going to be on our college students, on the elderly, and those folks that don't currently have a state-issued ID?
Both the House and Senate will now work out the differences between their versions of the bill before it makes its way to voters in November. Winona State students are demonstrating on the university's campus, have demonstrated for 3 days to raise awareness about an important issue. Larissa Olson is in the studio with more.
Thanks, Olga. The coalition formed of minority groups on campus have been asking the WSU administration for a room on main campus that can be used as a safe space for the minorities, a space with no violence, bullying, or racism.
Students kept getting the response from administration that we don't have the space, we don't have the space, we don't have the space.
After months and months of disappointment, we've just had to get louder and louder, and we thought that this demonstration of, well, if you can't provide us a space, then we will build our own out of cardboard and 2x4s.
The No Space Coalition wants to create a student diversity center on campus that can provide space and resources for all students.
The No Space Coalition is simply asking and saying, we want to become a priority for diversity. We want the administration to make a declaration that diversity is important.
No Space Coalition member Kyle Jacobowski says the WSU Inclusion and Diversity Office does a phenomenal job already, but a peer-to-peer approach to diversity is also important.
Administration and faculty members love to help us and love to give their support. They can't possibly understand us as well as we can understand each other.
Student Activities Director Joe Reed says the WSU administration understands the importance of the issues and supports the No Space Coalition idea of the Diversity Center.
I think what the students are doing, what the coalition are doing, I think is good. I think it's healthy. It's kind of neat to bring some grassroots to a university and get students together for a cause.
Reed also says WSU is a rapidly growing university with 200 clubs and organizations on campus. There's simply no space as of right now.
We're going to try and make it happen, and it's just not going to happen right now, but hopefully in the near future.
The No Space Coalition recently received support of the Student Senate as well as many members of faculty and staff. According to Reed, Winona State is looking into expanding some buildings in the near future, so a space for the Student Diversity Center might be available soon. Olga?
Thanks, Larissa. The Winona State hosted a multicultural event for students young and old.
Students from 47 countries showcased their culture at the World Expo on the Winona State campus. Nearly 700 K through 6th grade students came out to interact with Winona State's international students. They set up more than 20 different stations, each representing a different country. Each country offered food, games, and authentic artifacts for visitors. Aaron Ratz of International Services says the World Expo is an important event.
In Winona, it's such a small community in southeastern Minnesota, and most people don't get as much access to all these different cultures and this knowledge base, this excellent knowledge base that we have here at Winona State. So it's really important not only to open it up to the community, to little kids, so where they can understand these things.
Rhett says the World Expo has grown larger every time he's been a part of it, and planning has already started for next year's event.
The exhibit Instruments of Fashion at the Winona County History Center is displaying clothing from the 1800s to today. The variety of clothing displays the change in fashion from corsets to shoulder pads. The Historic Society opened in 1935, and since then their collection of clothes has grown because of donations from the community. Assistant Director Jennifer Weaver and Curator Jody Brom went through the closets of clothes to pick out the best of the best for this exhibit. Weaver says fashion reveals the progression in society.
You know, the turn of the century in the early 1900s, that loosens up and you get the flapper era and the hems come up you know, just the freedom of movement kind of mirrors that freedom that women have been striving for over the years. And you know, now you can walk down the street in a t-shirt and blue jeans just like the guys do.
Clothing is not the only item on display. There are also jewelry, shoes, and dressmakers' tools. The exhibit will be opened until April 22nd.
The Great River Shakespeare Festival is gearing up for the summer. Production designers, directors, and community members came together Sunday to preview the season at the Winona County History Center. Managing Director Eric Bunge says the new season will bring a few changes, including free previews before opening weekend.
What's most new about this year is we're adding 1 week to the performance schedule, so we're going into August for the first time, a 7-week performance calendar, which allows the word of mouth to spread a little bit wider and a little bit farther and a little bit deeper, so that hopefully those last few weeks of the festival season, the houses are packed with people who just can't wait to pay and see the shows.
Season 9 of the festival is set to kick off June 22nd. More information can be found at www.grsf.org.
A local photographer and professor at Winona State University displayed his works in a visual tour at the Marine Art Museum. Drake Hawkinson presented The Nature of Place in 6 photographs in association with the Minnesota Marine Art Museum's 2012 Minnesota Photographer Series. Hawkinson says he takes photos of places that aren't on tourist brochures, but ones that make up a place.
I sometimes say that, as a geographer once said, we're sort of like fish that cannot see water. In other words, we live in this environment, we live in these places, but never really pay a lot of attention to them. And so my goal was to bring a little more attention to the ordinary places that we conduct our lives.
To learn about Drake Hawkinson's next project, watch the extended interview on youtube.com/WSU News 24.
The Winona Middle School held their annual Family Fun Day event along with their summer camp fair. Alyssa Montgomery has more on the story.
The Winona Middle School was buzzing with activity this past weekend as parents and their kids came to check out booths about summer camps and to participate in arts and crafts. The event was coordinated by Winona State Camp and Conference Service Department and the Children's Center, along with Community Education and the City of Winona Park and Recreations Department. Winona State Conferencing Assistant Blondine Berthelot helped coordinate the event and shared with us many of the things that were offered at Family Fun Day.
We have activities for children, we have exhibitors, people can check out different programs available for the children in the summer. And then in the gym we have an obstacle course and we have an inflatable bounce house. And then we also have open swim in the pool with a couple of lifeguards, and that's been very popular too. And then we have food concession too, so it's going to be busy until noon.
Some Winona State students were also involved in helping promote the event.
At WSU has stations, so people can come and do a lot of interactive things and crafts. Some people are planting flowers, things like that. So
overall, the event coordinators claimed that the turnout for Family Fun Day and the summer camp fair was a success. I'm Alyssa Montgomery, News 24.
The Family Fun Day and Summer Camp Fair event is held annually every spring.
Moviegoers came out in record numbers Thursday night to see The Hunger Games movie at the Winona 7. A record high of 918 tickets were sold to the midnight showing of the film, which showed on all 7 theaters at the Winona 7. Winona Senior High student Autumn Backman was one of the first in line and made the most out of the midnight showing.
It's fun. It's just waiting in line with your friends, and you get to party and play catchphrase, and it's just bonding experiences.
The Hunger Games earned $155 million nationally over the weekend. It is the third largest opening weekend of all time.
Well, no one can complain about the weather we've been having lately, especially the local golfers. They were hitting the links early this year because of the seemingly early spring, almost an entire month early, actually. The Bridges Golf Club opened up the fairway on March 14th this year, when they normally open up in the first week or two of April. The course's director of golf has worked at Bridges for 19 years and says the earliest he's ever seen things in business is March 23rd. He says an early season has its benefits.
Well, increased play. Hopefully you get a little more revenue. It gets the golfers a chance to get out. They get attuned to golf a little earlier in the year as opposed to later.
Bridges Golf Course plays host to multiple tournaments, as well as the Winona State and Winona Senior High School golf teams. And I wouldn't mind getting out there to hit a few balls around myself. I like to go golfing every once in a while.
Do you go often or not really?
Not too often, but when I go, I make sure to bring, like 100 golf balls and some scuba gear so I can, go fish them out of the pond. I head into the pond a lot.
I don't think I've ever been golfing except mini golf, but it sounds really nice to be out there in the sun.
Yeah, mini golf's a safer bet.
All right, well, thank you for joining us. For the latest on Winona News, like us on Facebook at facebook.com/WSU News 24.
Have a good week.